The winter inside the walls had no calendar. Days blurred into nights. Nights dissolved into silence. Somewhere beyond concrete and steel, the world moved on.
Seasons changed. Music charts refreshed.
New idols rose. New scandals trended. New faces filled screens. But here, time stood still. He sat on the edge of a narrow bed, hands folded, staring at a square of pale light on the floor. That light came from a small window too high to reach. Every morning it appeared, and every evening it disappeared. It was the only proof that the world still existed. Once, his name echoed in arenas. Now it lived only in whispers.
Chris.
In this fictional telling, he was no longer the untouchable star.
No cameras. No applause.
No stylists adjusting his collar before he stepped into the spotlight. Just the sound of keys, footsteps, and doors that never stayed open. Yet even here, memories refused to leave him. The stage lights, the screaming fans, the feeling of being seen. Sometimes, late at night, he closed his eyes and imagined the hum of a crowd, the vibration under his feet, the way his heart used to race before the music dropped. Then reality returned.
Cold.
Silent. Unforgiving. Regret had a sound. It sounded like breathing in the dark. He had learned to live with it. Don't forget to subscribe for more insider stories, trending moments, and viral breakdowns. Rumors traveled strangely. They crept in through guards' conversations, through muffled radios, through words overheard and half understood. One morning, something changed. A guard paused longer than usual at the door. Not unkind, not cruel, just different. Paperwork, he muttered. Paperwork was rare. Later that day, another voice. Another pause. Another glance that lingered just a second too long. That night, Chris lay awake. Hope was dangerous. Hope had hurt him before. But something in the air felt unfamiliar. Like the first warmth after years of winter. In this fictional world, whispers began to form. Not freedom, not forgiveness, but transition. A word heavy with meaning. Deportation.
Canada.
A country he had not touched in years. A place that felt like a past life. A life before fame. Before everything shattered. Could it be possible? The idea terrified him more than confinement ever had. Because freedom meant facing the world again. Fans, in this story, never truly left. They changed. They aged. They grew quieter. But somewhere, they still remembered. In small rooms across the world, phones glowed late at night. Old videos replayed. Old songs played softly, not loudly anymore. As if volume itself carried guilt. Some wrote letters they never mailed. Some deleted drafts they never posted. Some whispered his name like a secret. In this imagined future, no official announcement had been made. No headlines confirmed anything. But fans felt it. That strange pull. That ache in the chest. What if, they wondered. What if he comes back, not as a star, but as a man? They weren't waiting for perfection. They were waiting for truth. In the final weeks of this fictional countdown, Chris was informed quietly.
No ceremony. No congratulations.
Just facts. You will be transferred. You will be deported after release. You will not return. China was where everything ended. Canada was where something unfamiliar would begin. He packed slowly. There wasn't much to pack.
A book.
A worn photograph. Memories heavier than any bag. The night before his departure, he stood beneath the window light one last time. For years, he had imagined this moment. But freedom did not feel like victory. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether the fall would break him or finally let him breathe. In this story, the plane did not land to flashing cameras. No crowd. No reporters shouting questions. Just quiet. Cold air filled his lungs as he stepped onto Canadian soil. Familiar, yet distant. Like returning to a house that had been remodeled beyond recognition.
He was older now.
Quieter. The mirror no longer showed an idol. It showed someone shaped by consequences. And for the first time in years, that felt honest. Redemption. In this fictional Kdrama, did not come with music. It came with silence, with learning how to live without being watched, with understanding that some doors never reopen and some shouldn't. He did not ask for forgiveness. He worked for accountability. And somewhere, quietly, fans watched from afar. Not cheering, not defending, just observing, waiting to see if change could be real.
This is not the end.
This is the beginning of a story no stage could hold. A story about consequences.
About loss.
About whether a man can rebuild a life when the world remembers him only as who he used to be. Don't forget to subscribe for more insider stories, trending moments, and viral breakdowns. Silence was louder than prison. In this imagined future, Canada did not welcome him with banners or blame. It welcomed him with emptiness. Streets where nobody looked twice. Cafes where his face meant nothing. Cold mornings where the only sound was his own breath. For the first time in years, Chris walked without being recognized. At first, it felt like relief. Then it felt like grief. He rented a small apartment with white walls and windows that faced nowhere important.
No posters. No trophies.
No reminders of a life that once filled stadiums. Every night, he sat at the kitchen table with a single cup of tea and listened to the hum of the refrigerator. That hum became his companion. Fame leaves echoes. Silence leaves questions. Who was he without the stage? Who was he when no one was watching? He avoided mirrors. Not because he hated what he saw, but because mirrors told the truth. The face staring back carried years of consequence. Lines that hadn't been there before. Eyes that had learned restraint. A stillness that came from knowing words could no longer undo damage. In this fictional world, he began writing. Not lyrics. Confessions. Pages filled with thoughts he would never publish. Letters addressed to no one. Apologies without an audience. He learned quickly that redemption was not a performance. There was no encore. Somewhere far away, fans noticed something subtle. A rumor. A blurred photo. A timestamp posted and deleted. No official statement.
No confirmation.
Just a feeling. Old fan accounts reactivated quietly. Not to defend. Not to deny. But to remember. I don't know how to feel, one wrote. I don't either, another replied. But I still remember the music. In this story, fans weren't waiting for a comeback. They were waiting for sincerity. Winter came early. Snow fell heavy and unforgiving, covering the streets in white. It reminded him of how quickly things could be erased and how traces still remained beneath the surface. He volunteered at a local shelter.
No cameras.
No press. Just work. Scrubbing floors. Carrying boxes. Serving meals without being thanked. Someone asked his name once. He hesitated. Chris, he said finally. Just Chris.
No surname.
No history. The word felt lighter that way. Music did not disappear. It returned quietly. Late at night, when the city slept, he played old melodies on a cheap keyboard.
No microphone.
No producer.
No expectation.
The notes were slower now.
Softer.
Music, stripped of fame, revealed something raw. He recorded nothing. Some things weren't meant to be shared. Not yet. One evening, as snow pressed against the windows, he asked himself the question he had avoided since his release. Do I deserve to be hurt again? There was no answer. Only the truth that some wounds do not heal with time. They heal with responsibility. And some never heal at all. Months passed. Then one morning his phone buzzed. An unknown email.
No greeting.
No demand. Just a sentence. If you ever speak, speak honestly. He stared at the screen for a long time. This was not an invitation. It was a warning. The world did not want excuses. It wanted accountability. He drafted a statement, then deleted it. Drafted another. Deleted that too. Words were dangerous. They could comfort or destroy. Clarify or manipulate. In this fictional telling, he chose restraint. Silence, he learned, could be respectful. It wasn't an interview. It wasn't a song. It was a short audio clip uploaded anonymously.
No monetization. No branding.
Just a voice. Older. Steadier. I am not asking to be followed, the voice said. I am asking to be accountable. Fans listened in silence. Some cried. Some turned it off. Some shared it without comment. It trended briefly, then disappeared, as if the internet itself decided this moment wasn't meant to be consumed endlessly. Redemption did not arrive with forgiveness. It arrived with consistency. Showing up, doing the work, not demanding understanding. In this story, Chris stopped trying to control the narrative. He focused on living correctly instead of being perceived correctly. That was harder. This is not a comeback story. This is a reckoning. Don't forget to subscribe for more insider stories, trending moments, and viral breakdowns. The call came on an ordinary afternoon. No dramatic music. No warning. Just a vibrating phone on a quiet table. He almost ignored it. Unknown number. In this fictional world, unknown numbers carried weight. They carried the past. He answered. Are you alone? A familiar voice asked. It took a second to place it. A voice from another lifetime. Studio lights. Midnight recording sessions. Arguments over melodies that once mattered. A former producer. Someone who had known him before everything collapsed. Yes, Chris said. There was a pause. Then the words that changed the direction of the story. People are asking if you'll ever speak. Not to perform. To tell the truth. The offer was simple. And dangerous. Not a comeback. Not an interview tour. Not a redemption campaign. One platform. One long-form statement.
No edits.
No music.
No sponsors.
You speak once, the producer said. And then you live with it. Silence followed. In this imagined future, Chris felt fear deeper than prison walls had ever given him. Because this time there was no hiding. Word spread quietly. Not through headlines. Through group chats. Through late-night messages that started with, "Did you hear?" Fans divided without shouting. Some said, "Let him disappear." Others said, "Truth matters, even when it hurts." There were no fan wars. Only exhaustion. Because loving an artist who fell was heavier than hating one. He wrote all night. Not to justify. Not to soften. He wrote to confront himself. Every sentence felt like walking barefoot across broken glass. He acknowledged harm without drama. Consequences without denial. He removed his name from the center of the story and placed responsibility there instead. At sunrise, he stopped. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. The studio was small.
No photographers. No assistants.
Just a microphone and a chair. He sat down slowly. His voice trembled once. Then steadied. I am not here to be forgiven, he said. I am here to stop hiding.
There were no tears for effect. No dramatic pauses.
Just a man speaking carefully, because he knew words no longer belonged to him. The recording was released without promotion. No title in bold letters. No thumbnail with exaggerated emotion. Just a plain background and a timestamp. People listened in private. Some couldn't finish it. Some replayed certain lines again and again. Some turned it off and walked away forever. And that was allowed. For the first time, the internet did not demand a reaction. It simply absorbed. There was no victory. No spike in followers.
No sudden sympathy wave.
Just quiet. And for the first time, the quiet felt earned. Chris returned to his small apartment. Made tea. Sat by the window. Nothing had changed externally. Everything had changed internally. Weeks passed. Then another message. If you ever make music again, the producer wrote, it can't be about you. Chris stared at the sentence for a long time. Music had once been his armor. Now it could only exist as honesty or not at all. He didn't answer. Not yet. Fans did something unexpected. They stopped defending. They stopped explaining. They started reflecting. Some archived old content. Some kept it. Some moved on without announcing it. There was maturity in the silence. Love reshaped. In this fictional K-drama, the future did not promise fame. It promised responsibility. A life lived smaller, quieter.
Trua.
And that, somehow, fell heavier than the spotlight ever had Don't forget to subscribe for more insider stories, trending moments, and viral breakdowns.